Level 1. You find the door at midnight, a narrow gap in a brick wall, a metal handle warm from someone else's hand. No sign, no advertisement, just a seam where the city lets secrets breathe. You hesitate, you press your ear to it. You hear muffled life, voice, music, the clink of glass. Curiosity pulls you like gravity. You slide the latch, it opens. The smell hits you first. Oil, cigarettes, a sweetness that tastes like danger. You step through, lights swallow you. The street is gone. A staircase spirals down. A sign above a basement door says, "Keep quiet." You breathe, you move. This is not a place for the unprepared. But you are already inside. No turning back. Level 2. The room is a cave of neon and cheap wood. Tables, faces, half-lights where deals are made and stories end. Eyes scan you, you feel measured. Someone smiles too quickly. Someone else doesn't smile at all. You take a seat at the bar. A bartender slides a drink your way without asking. You taste it. Bitter, sharp, like adrenaline. Conversations fold around you like smoke. Names drop like currency. You learn one rule fast. Information is power. Another rule. Loyalty costs more than cash. A girl at the corner table speaks to you in a whisper. "You shouldn't be here," she says. Her fingers tap a rhythm on the wood. "But if you want to stay, listen." You lean in. Level 3. She draws a map in condensation on a glass. Alleyways, safe houses, routes the city forgot to erase. You memorize shapes, not names. She tells you about eyes that watch from above. Cameras, drones, men with earpieces. You think you can outsmart them. You can't. You are brittle and loud in a place that rewards silence and craft. Then she gives you a rule that feels like a curse. Never touch a job that isn't yours. You nod. You don't know much, but you know a bad decision can echo. A wrong touch can shatter a life, yours or someone else's. You promise nothing. Level 4. They test you. A small ask, a wallet left at a table, a favor for a friend of a friend. You're handed a dossier, 2 photos, a key. Your hands tremble. You could walk, you could hand it back. You take it. That same night you learn how quickly paths cross. The owner of the wallet finds you waiting outside. Soft footsteps, a voice like gravel. "Why were you looking through my things?" You could lie. You tell a half-truth. He smiles like a locked door opening. He offers information instead of retribution. You bargain with words. You discover bartering is a currency here. Trust becomes a currency too, more fragile. Level 5. An assignment arrives. A heist blueprint tucked inside an old book, not for jewels, for names. Bank of petty crimes, ledgers that track who tipped police, who paid off officials, who slept with who to get ahead. These books could topple people. Power disguised as ink and paper. You could make a fortune selling them. You could burn them and disappear. Instead, you do something else. You read. You read until your eyes blur and the room tilts. You see faces you know in margins. You see deals you never suspected. You find your own name penciled next to a date. Your heart stops. Someone is watching the watcher. Level 6. Now you have choices. Sell the ledgers, expose them, use them for leverage. Each choice is a blade. You test edges. If you expose, people fall. If you sell, someone else gets the power. If you use them, you become like them. You don't want that, but survival asks for compromise. You pick a middle way. You build a lie that is mostly truth. You make an ally of the bartender. You slip to the edge of the crowd and hand him a copy. He nods, grave. We can protect the names you care about. We can bury the rest. Protection demands price. You trade a favor, an access code, a promise to disappear for a week. You sign it with your silence. Level 7. Silence is not empty. It's loud with consequences. The next morning, someone has followed you home. A slip of paper on your door. A name circled in red. You should be frightened. You are. But you are steadier than you think. You prepare. You change routines. You plant a story at a diner across town. You create an alibi and let it live in other mouths. You watch the door and learn to read shapes in shadows. A car waits 2 blocks away for days. Then it leaves. Then it returns. You never see the driver. You begin to understand the rule of this world. Permanence is optional. Presence is relentless. Level 8. You enact the plan. You hand over a falsified ledger to a rival gang through a middleman. You watch the fallout on a cracked screen at dawn. Accusations spread like oil. Trust burns, power reshuffles. You stay in the blur. You keep your real copies hidden under a loose step in your apartment building. You record names and faces on a recorder you bury in a park bench. You build redundancy. You weave a web of small, safe truths and larger, careful lies. The underground rearranges itself. You carve a place in the margin. You become useful, not indispensable. Useful. Level 9. You taste victory and ash. A friend disappears, not the bartender, someone who trusted you without calculation. You searched where you shouldn't have. You left a footprint. You didn't mean to cost them their life. Grief is a currency here too. You hold it. It changes how you move. You stop being reckless. You learn to be surgical. You stop taking the big risks for thrills. You begin to make exits for other people. You teach a kid how to vanish. You show a woman how to read the eyes of a room. They leave because of you. You keep them alive because of you. Level 10. Then they come for the door, a team from above. Suits with badges you can't read clearly. They light the alley with white. They ask questions in rooms that hum with legal heat. You could burn everything. You could hand them the ledgers and disappear. Or you can do something unexpected. You walk up to them and you smile. You tell them a story that sounds small and personal. You give them a breadcrumb trail that leads to a dead end. They take it. They leave with the feeling of victory. You stay with the real copies. You learned how to make truths look like lies. You learned how to hide a life inside a life. Level 11. Weeks become months. You move through the underworld like a ghost with a purpose. You collect debts and favors. You trade in secrets for protection. You never forget the cost. The girl in the corner who warned you, she watches you now with something like respect. The bartender trusts you with a name. If you ever want out, say it. We'll open a door. You laugh, but the laugh is thin. You understand doors. They are not always metal and hinges. Sometimes they're choices. Sometimes they're lies. Sometimes they're roads you refuse to walk. Level 12. One night you sit at the top of the old staircase. You press your palm to the cool stone. You think of the first handle you turned. You remember how small you felt. You are not small anymore. You are skilled, scarred, necessary. You are dangerous because you choose to be. You could close the door and let the city keep its secrets. You could drag the whole underground into the light. You could vanish into a life that pays taxes and forgets names. You breathe. You listen to the city breathe back. You make a choice. You don't close the door. You don't open it wide. You leave it ajar. A little light slips down the stairs, not enough to destroy the shadows, enough to move through them, enough to help people who need help, enough to remind you that power is not about exposing everything. It's about choosing which darkness you will disturb and which you will let rest. Epilogue. You walk the line. You teach, protect, trade. You keep the ledger safe. You keep a list of names that must never be told. You keep a list of names that must be made to answer. You learn to sleep with one eye open and both hands honest. The hidden door remains where you found it, a seam in the city that gives in to those brave or foolish enough to press it. You pass it sometimes without looking. Sometimes you rest your hand on the handle. You remember the first warmth of it. You remember the cost. You remember the choice. You live with it. You survive with it. You become part of the underground's history. Not king, not martyr, a keeper of small lights in a deep place. One day you'll close the door for good, but not yet. For now you walk the stair. You listen for footsteps that don't belong. You keep your secrets and shelter other people's. You found a hidden door to the underground crime world. You opened it. You chose how to move through the darkness. And you learned that sometimes the bravest thing is to leave it slightly ajar.